Can you recall what the largest news story in Canada was in 2012? It was the Elford story of tainted beef products at the packing plant in Brooks, Alberta. What would a story like that look like if it was learned that the inspectors were on the payroll of the packing plant, instead of the taxpayer? And what if those meat inspectors were actually paid to look the other way at tainted or infected products? What if they actually earn fees for letting toxic products be silently sold to consumers? Let's change the story just a little bit and compare that to how investments flow through the Alberta Securities Commission, our inspector, if you will, of things financial. The ASC has allowed investments which do not meet our laws to be exempt from those laws, with examples on their website of a few thousand times this has occurred, where the Commission actually accepts money from the product seller to turn a blind eye to Alberta security laws to get an investment sold to the public. They do this without disclosure to the public, so you are not aware of them selling these permission slips to violate the law. They are hiding this from you, the consumer. A result is that sellers get to dump billions of dollars in questionable investments on Albertans. How is that for a way to dump tainted products on the public? Another result is billions of dollars of harm to Albertans, while securities regulators get millions in fees. Let me give you a few examples. When banks have investments that are not selling very well, they are not supposed to dump these products on their mutual fund customers. Those are supposed to be separate, and not to buy these new issues that are being sold by the banks. But when investment bankers have a poor product, they sometimes go to the Securities Commission and apply for permission to skirt the laws that protect consumers. It lets them dump the poor product into your mutual funds. You don't know about this, but it's a deal cooked up between the seller of the tainted product and the securities regulator. Another example is when a mutual fund company learns that they could earn up to 16 times more money if they convinced you to dump your independent mutual funds and buy their very own homemade mutual funds. They get permission to go around the law to do just that. I know of 2 mutual fund companies who have made hundreds of millions of dollars abusing customers in this way, with the help of the Securities Commission. When $35 billion of subprime toxic mortgage product needed to be dumped on Canadian investors by bankers and others who were stuck, the Securities Commissions were there to give them permission to do just that. $35 billion was cheated out of Canadians for products that did not meet our laws. Even the Public Service Pension Plan of Canada was cheated out of $2 billion with this. That is the pension plan that looks after retired judges and RCMP officers. This makes turning a blind eye to contaminated beef look pretty mild by comparison. This is using the power of government regulators to help cheat nearly every Canadian and transfer billions into the hands of a few financiers. I won't bore you with the other 1,000 times that the law has been breached here in Alberta. I just give you some names like JP Morgan, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, WorldCom, Enron, Lehman Brothers, and nearly every Canadian bank and mutual fund company. The common denominator in all of these are 2 things. One is an investment dealer that needs to take advantage of the public and do something which is not allowed under the law. 2 is the Alberta Securities Commission incentivized to collect fees by granting this permission to break the law. Imagine having an inspection agency that is incentivized to harm you, the consumer. I have studied them in action for about 30 years, and that is how I see the Alberta Securities Commission acting in secret. Here to recap are the top 10 signs that indicate that you might be being preyed upon by your own government servants. Number 10. The head man in that inspection agency is being paid 3 or 4 times the salary of the leader of the province. In Alberta, he earns more than $700,000. Number 9. The top person is a lawyer and not an investment expert. 8. The staff of this investment agency has more lawyers than people with actual investment experience. 7. The rules have been written to give staff permission to use their discretion and hand out passes to violate the law. if they are satisfied that it would not be harmful to the public interest to do so. Number 6. With a full staff of lawyers, they can argue that the sky is no longer blue and also that they are satisfied to grant these exemptions. Who will ever know? Number 5. Here are the clever words they put on most approvals. Each of the decision makers is satisfied that the test contained in the legislation for the decision maker to make the decision has been met. Hey, I am not kidding. Number 4 is to make sure there is nothing in the Securities Act that allows for public input on whether such exemption should be granted. Number 3 is to make sure there's nothing in the law saying that the public should be notified if the toxic investment is sold to them. Number 2, make certain that consumer products being sold in the investment industry do not have to meet the Consumer Protection Act of Canada. And the number 1 clue that you might be being harmed by your own government regulator is that the criminal code is not usually applied to activities that happen under the Securities Commission. Now some of you have been stuck with something called exempt market products, which have come along more recently, and with rules which were being made up literally as they went along. These products are not identical in all aspects to some of the legally exempted toxic things I have mentioned here, but they skip around Alberta laws, and they are hurting consumers. They are proving to be as harmful to investors, and as profitable to the ASC and promoters of bad investments as the other exemptions the ASC deals in. They all point to the use of the power of a government agency to pick your pockets and make millionaires out of government regulators and promoters of bad investments. Stand together with other victims. Tell the government to give investors their money back and fix this broken regulator before Alberta is broken. Visit albertainvestorsprotection.com or go to investoradvocates.ca to learn more. And stay safe.